What if your favorite chocolate bar, baby formula, or bottled water was linked to child labor? Environmental destruction and water theft? What if the world's largest food and beverage company had a history not just of growth, but of global controversy? This is the untold story of Nestlé, the company behind household products like Nescafé, Kit Kat, and Maggi noodles, and how its hunger for profit may have cost the world far more than money.
Well, it's funny, you think of Nestle, what do you think? You think chocolate chip cookie, a problematic company, but when you look at their history...
That Nestle may actually be one of the worst companies on the entire planet.
Legal experts say Nestle and Cargill seem likely to eke out a narrow victory, which would leave other lawsuits in limbo.
There's no question they're caught committing fraud, lying to the government, stealing a natural resource.
Before we uncover the dark secrets, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for powerful documentaries that reveal the truth behind global corporations. Chapter 1. The Birth of a Global Giant. Nestlé was founded in 1866 in Switzerland by German-born pharmacist Henri Nestlé. His first breakthrough product, a powdered infant formula for babies who couldn't breastfeed, a revolutionary solution that saved thousands of lives. By the 20th century, Nestlé expanded aggressively, acquiring companies, diversifying into chocolate, coffee, dairy, pet food, and even bottled water. Today, Nestlé owns over 2,000 brands and operates in 190 countries, employing over 275,000 people. Its presence is nearly inescapable, from your morning coffee to your child's cereal. Nestle is likely in your home right now. Sounds like a success story. But behind the corporate shine, controversy was brewing, one that would haunt Nestlé for decades. Chapter 2. The Baby Formula Scandal. In the 1970s, Nestlé became the face of one of the most shocking marketing scandals in history. In developing countries, Nestlé promoted its baby formula as superior to breastfeeding, encouraging mothers to use it instead of natural milk. Health workers were paid to distribute free samples in hospitals. Once mothers stopped producing milk, Nestlé's samples ran out, and they were forced to buy formula, even if they couldn't afford it. Worse, the formula required clean water, something many rural communities lacked. The result? Malnutrition, disease, and death. A global boycott known as the Nestlé boycott began in 1977 and still exists in some countries today. The scandal painted Nestlé as a corporation willing to trade human lives for profits. Nestlé denied wrongdoing, but the damage to its reputation was severe and lasting. It marked the company as a symbol of corporate irresponsibility, and it's a stain that remains decades later. Chapter 3. The Bottled Water Controversy. Nestlé is one of the largest bottled water companies in the world, owning brands like Pure Life, Poland Spring, and San Pellegrino. But where does all that water come from? In many regions, Nestlé has been accused of extracting massive amounts of groundwater, often for free or extremely low fees, while local communities face drought, water shortages, and contamination. In California, Nestlé was criticized for pumping water during record droughts. In Pakistan, locals in Pati Dilwan accused the company of stealing groundwater and leaving behind dry wells. In Canada, citizens protested when Nestlé bought water rights instead of local municipalities. Many saw it as water privatization, taking a public resource and profiting off it, while locals struggle with scarcity. The ethics? Questionable. The backlash? Massive. Nestlé's argument is simple. It follows the law, but many argue that the law is outdated, or worse, manipulated by corporate lobbying. Chapter 4. Child labor in the chocolate industry. Nestlé is one of the world's largest producers of chocolate. Think Kit Kat, Crunch, Aero, and more. But what goes into that chocolate? In 2001, Nestlé and other major chocolate companies were linked to child labor and slavery on cocoa farms in Ivory Coast and Ghana, where most of the world's cocoa comes from. Children as young as 10 years old were reported working in dangerous conditions, using machetes, carrying heavy loads, and often not being paid. Some children were even trafficked from neighboring countries, forced to work long hours under abusive conditions, far from their families. Despite pledging to eliminate child labor by 2005, Nestlé missed deadline after deadline. In 2021, Nestlé was named in a U.S. Supreme Court case by former child slaves from Mali, who accused the company of aiding and abetting child labor. The court eventually dismissed the case on technical grounds, but the accusations were deeply troubling. To this day, watchdogs report that over 1.5 million children still work in West African cocoa production, and Nestlé has yet to completely sever ties with farms involved in these practices. Chapter 5. Health and Hidden Ingredients. Nestlé has been accused of aggressively marketing sugary, salty, and processed foods to children, often in poor countries with rising rates of obesity and diabetes. In 2021, An internal Nestlé document leaked, revealing that 60% of its products were unhealthy by global nutritional standards, and that Nestlé knew it. This included popular cereals, snacks, and drinks marketed to kids and families. Even healthy items like some yogurts and granola. Bars were packed with hidden sugar. Experts argue that Nestlé's focus on processed convenience foods contributes to a global public health crisis. In countries like Brazil, India, and the Philippines, Nestlé markets ultra-processed foods as essential staples, even where traditional diets are far healthier. They've also faced lawsuits for mislabeling, such as claiming that certain cereals were whole grain or high fiber when they barely met the criteria. The contrast is striking. The company that once helped babies survive now stands accused of slowly poisoning global diets. Chapter 6: Profits versus People. Nestlé's annual revenues exceed $90 billion. Its CEO and shareholders have reaped massive profits, but critics say those profits come at the expense of local water access, third-world farmers, child laborers, misled mothers, and millions of consumers unaware of what's in their food. In short, Nestlé's story is a microcosm of corporate capitalism, innovation, and efficiency, wrapped around a core of controversy and unchecked power. It's a business machine, but one that often rolls over the vulnerable in its path. Chapter 7: Can Nestlé be redeemed? To be fair, Nestlé has made efforts to improve its image, launched sustainability goals, invested in child labor monitoring systems, shifted toward plant-based foods, reduced sugar and sodium in many products, set a target to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. The company now publishes annual corporate responsibility reports, funds nutrition programs, and claims to source more ethically. But critics argue these efforts are too slow, too late, or merely performative. In fact, some see them as a strategy of greenwashing, creating a responsible image without deep structural change. So the question remains, can a company this big ever be truly ethical? Or is Nestlé just too powerful, too global, and too deeply entangled in capitalism's darkest corners to be held accountable? Some believe consumer pressure and regulation are the only ways to force change. Others say it's time to boycott and support local, ethical alternatives. Nestlé may feed the world, but it also fuels some of the biggest ethical debates of our time, from access to water and child labor to health and corporate greed. What do you think? Should we hold companies like Nestlé responsible for their global impact, or are they just playing the capitalist game better than others? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like this video if it opened your eyes. Subscribe for more hard-hitting documentaries that reveal the truth behind the headlines.